Hello, everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday and Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Jug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics in my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @DougPless. Just want to let everyone know that Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Bookmap Discord. You will need a Bookmap subscription. There is a free subscription available. Once you subscribe, you will need to verify your account. Then you can fully participate in Bookmap Discord and chat, as well as watch my stream, as well as many other streams in Bookmap Discord. Also, a couple other announcements. The MBO sale, there are 48 hours left. So you go to bookmap.com to find more information if you're interested in the MBO bundle. Also, the Global Plus annual sale is still going on. I believe it ends this week. Again, go to bookmap.com for more information on these sales. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. Certainly in the large cap tech stocks that I follow, like the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as the equity index futures like the SP 500 or the NASDAQ 100. And for the SP 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Jug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned to the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow on Spotgamma Hero to confirm a thesis, and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset as well as the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Jug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, oh boy, welcome, glad you're here. Hello, Stephen, welcome, glad you're here as well. All right, let's get started. Here's my agenda for today, Monday, December 30th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items economic data and events for the week. First of all, economic data is pretty light this week. There are a couple of several medium to low impact data releases this week. One high impact data release that is on Friday, and that is at 10 a.m., the ISM manufacturing PMI. And as far as I can tell, the jobs report will not be released. The normal jobs report that comes out on the first Friday of the month will be next week, I guess, due to the holiday this week. So the economic calendars that I look at are showing the jobs report coming next Friday, not this coming Friday. Also note, Wednesday, New Year's Day, is a holiday. And again, as far as I can tell, the markets are trading normal hours on Tuesday, New Year's Eve. So there will, as far as I know, there will be no early close on New Year's Eve. Also, one other note, as most of you are probably aware, former President Jimmy Carter died on Sunday, and normally the day of the funeral for a U.S. president is a market holiday. So that is unknown at this point. And Stephen says that is correct. Only Wednesday the market is closed. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So that is the news items for the week. Wednesday closed. We're waiting to hear about the Jimmy Carter funeral and PMI data on Friday. I'm sorry. All right. Let's move on. Move on to positional analysis now. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. There are a couple of key levels on this chart that I'll get to in just a minute. Pretty wide range today, and a low stability index, negative gamma environment, wide swings as expected. All right, so let's take a quick look at a higher time frame, then we'll get back to the Bookmap ES chart. So this is the S&P 500 index, SPX, the underlying index. Rally continues, coming under a little pressure recently. So that's a 1-day, 1-year chart. Let's take a look at a closer time frame now. Let's go to a 30-day, 1-hour chart. Note this downtrend that was in place. This is before FOMC. This is the reaction to FOMC. And then the S&P 500 did rally up to this trend line again, then broke lower. And that was right at SPX 6050. And here's today. Note SPX did trade down below the lower weekly expected move. More about that in just a moment. All right, so the levels on this chart. Again, the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market. This is based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. We'll take a look at the Spotgamma implied move, low and high, in just a moment on the Bookmap chart for ES. Those are the basis of those levels are different than this expected move. So the expected move, the weekly expected move, again based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday, those levels remain in place for the entire week. Then this is the lower daily expected move. Also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday again. Those levels will change every day. I do post those levels in Discord the day before. All right, so again, those are standard options-based expected moves based on the closing price of the previous day. So SPX did gap down below the lower daily expected move and then did trade down below the lower weekly expected move. and now it looks like it is right around the lower daily expected move again. All right, let's take a look at the spot gamma levels on this chart. These are the dark red lines. They're based on gamma weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the put wall at 5,900. That's a strike with largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And above that is the volatility trigger at 59.90. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility, certainly like price action today, with market makers trading with price. Above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And again, SPX firmly in negative gamma today. More about gamma in just a minute. Next level up is the absolute gamma strike just above that. That's that L1 level there. Erase that, redraw that level so we have both. So just above that at 6,000, that is the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. And then above that is the call wall at 6,055. And note that is also the short call. That is also the short call of the JP Morgan collar that expires tomorrow afternoon, the end of the month. So that all that positive gamma at that level and the open interest will expire, and that level will most likely become irrelevant starting on January 2nd. And I would expect the call wall to move on January 2nd. All right, so those are the levels in play for today. Of course, the put wall was breached earlier today. That was the level, the most important level today. All right, let's take a look at Let's take a look at a shorter time frame still. This is a 1 minute chart for SPX. Well, let's zoom in just a little bit. Key levels, lower weekly expected move. So SPX breached the lower weekly expected move on Monday. Just above that is the put wall. That level has definitely been in play for today, acting as resistance, then support. And note SPX still well below the volatility trigger at 59.90. All right, shifts in levels. For SPX, the volatility trigger did shift lower. And for SPY, there was a bearish hat trick. Volatility trigger, put wall, and call wall all move lower. So bearish shifts lower in levels for the S&P 500. All right, back to Bookmap. There are a couple of other key levels in play for today. I mentioned the expected moves and the difference between the standard options-based, option chain-based expected move and the Spotgamma expected move. Here's the Spotgamma implied move low and the Spotgamma implied move high. And quite a range in SPX today as it reversed just above the Spotgamma implied move low, and now is traded up to the Spotgamma implied move high, which is pretty close to my lower daily expected move. Note those levels, the Spotgamma levels, are based on the opening price for SPX today, and they are also based on gamma as far as I understand. So it's a proprietary calculation to Spotgamma, but acting as key levels today for the S&P 500 on the downside and the upside. Other key levels. Here's the put wall, 5,900. That label is obscured, but that is the 5,900 put wall. That's the SPX 5,900 put wall. And here's the SPY 590 put wall. So key levels. So as you know, I'm using the Pricelines add-on so I can show all these levels on my chart. And there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. Right now that offset is right around 51, between 51 and 52 points. I'm using 51. So I'm showing the SPX 5,900 put wall. That's that label that's obscured there at ES 5951. And note the level offsets seem to be quite fluid during the day, shifting from around 50 to maybe 52. So I'm right in the middle there with 51. All right, so again, just to wrap up, key level on the downside, the Spotgamma implied move low, and up on the upside, the Spotgamma implied move high. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. Go to NQ. Take a look at the levels in play for today. This cluster of levels here acting as resistance, then support. More about that in just a minute. Let's step back and let's take a look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to start with QQQ. And this is the only Spotgamma level in play for QQQ. This combo level right here. Note that this round number, 515, acted as resistance, then support. If I have time, one thing that I will do today is take a look at, we'll look at Hero for QQQ, and we can take a look at tape. And this will give us a clue to why QQQ reacts at round numbers. And you can see at that level, the options trades were shifting from positive delta to negative delta at 515. So that provides some additional detail that if I have time, I'll take a look at that. All right, so there's QQQ. Let's take a look at NDX. Oops. I have to go back to this chart. Zoom in on this. Note that NDX has recovered its volatility trigger. There's that cluster of levels I was talking about. That is 270. 270 volatility trigger. 275, that's the call wall absolute gamma strike. And then the 280 combo 1 level. That's a cluster of levels now acting as support. So NDX has recovered its volatility trigger and is trading above its absolute gamma strike and call wall. All right, so that's NASDAQ, support around the QQQ 512 level. And we'll take a look at setups in just a few minutes. All right, let's wrap up positional analysis by taking a look at gamma. I'm going to start with gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. Note with the exception of NDX, all these numbers are negative. For S&P 500 and NASDAQ, just mildly negative at the beginning of the day, and certainly more negative for IWM. And all those numbers did shift lower from Friday and shifted from positive to negative for both the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, let's take a look at a current view of gamma by taking a look at, this is the gamma heat map in trace, Spotgamma trace. Red is negative gamma, blue positive gamma. So you can see that SPX, this is for SPX, has been trading in negative gamma all day today. In negative gamma, we expect a lot of movement, wider movement. In positive gamma, we expect price to slow down as market makers start to trade against price. So for the day, again, SPX trading in negative gamma, and if it continues to move higher, we'll move into positive gamma above around 59.50 or so. Note also the very low stability index at 17%. That's another clue that to expect a large movement, wide range today. And here, this chart does show the implied move low, implied move high. Again, based on the opening price for SPX for today. All right, so that based on this, my thesis for today, first, certainly looking for higher volatility, initially bearish. Let's see, I did not mention shifts in levels for the NASDAQ. For NDX, call wall absolute gamma strike shifted lower, and for QQQ, volatility trigger absolute gamma strike shifted lower. So bearish shifts lower in levels for QQQ as well. And that's all based on that the move down in the indexes on Friday. All right, so somewhat of a bullish recovery today in negative gamma. We'll take a look at setups in just a few minutes. All right, so again, my thesis for today, looking for higher volatility and also bearish price action, which played out in the morning, but now is reversed higher. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. Let's start with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal in Bookmap. I'm going to assume that everyone knows what this is. Hedging impact or time options. It's showing options trades, market maker hedging activity in real time. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. We're starting with the S&P 500. There are two signals that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. This is the index signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the index components, SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. The white line is price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. So this is the index signal, and it was bullish from around 9:45 on. So very much a leading indicator today, and price did not start to move higher until maybe around 10:20, something like that. So the S&P 500 index signal, very much a leading indicator. And for the S&P 500, there's another signal that we can take a look at. That is the S&P equities. That definitely confirmed the move lower in the open, chopped around, then started to move higher right around 11 as price was already moving higher. So this S&P equity signal is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. So in the case today, for this move higher, the S&P 500 index signal was definitely providing a leading indicator. So let's go back to that. Let's go to full screen. So you can see this starts to move higher right around 9:45. Then price finally responds, still above this one-day implied move low, right around 10:25, something like that. These hero alerts, hero flow alerts, that cluster like that indicates some chop. Move higher than chop. Hero signal starts to move higher. A couple of peak patterns. Those peak patterns occur as price reaches that implied one-day move high. And those can be topping signals. All right, so I'm zoomed out all the way. So a topping signal occurs at the Spotgamma implied one-day move high. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Sticking with the index signal, let's go to the S&P 500. And note one thing important for those of you who trade pre-market. Hopefully you caught some of this. Very nice move lower. Began around 7 a.m. and again continued all the way down to around 10:25. All right, so now let's focus on the regular trading hours. Starting at 9:30, price breaks down below the 5,900 put wall. No cumulative volume delta. You can see all the green volume dots. Volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. You can see on the way down there were a lot of aggressive buyers. Finally, they got in the way. You can also confirm that with a rising cumulative volume delta. Let me turn off market pulse price change so we can turn that off. So we get a clearer look at the indicators in the subchart here. So the rising blue line started to rise actually right around 9 a.m., showing there were more aggressive buyers than sellers. And you can see all the green volume dots. Green volume dots. Trend break here. And ES finally got on board with the index options traders and aggressive buyers. Price moved higher and moved right up to the, again, that implied one-day move high. That also lines up with the zero gamma level, 59.36. All right, so nice long. If you were patient, waited for price to reverse higher, watching that index signal and waiting for price to reverse higher, break the trend. You can see all the aggressive buyers coming in, and price finally started to respond. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Any questions about that? So took some patience this morning, waiting for that long setup. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Again, the index signal providing the leading indicator this morning. Let's go back to Hero now, and then again moving up to the one-day move high and peak patterns, peak topping patterns there. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. All right, NASDAQ, I thought the hero signal. Uh, hero signals were not as clear. There's the NASDAQ signal. That's the index signal for the NASDAQ, NDX, and QQQ. We'll take a look at QQQ in just a minute. And here's the MAG 7. This is similar to the equity signal. Also took a while to get moving. So this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the Magnificent 7 stocks. Let's go back to NASDAQ. So NASDAQ really did not start to move higher until about 10:30, right here. Chopped around in the morning, then started to move higher right around 10:30. Now looks like topping again, chop. So chop in the morning, move higher starting around 10:30, and then chop again just above this cluster of levels. Back to Bookmap, NASDAQ. And there were some easier reads in stocks today. All right, so again, at the open, actually before the open, this was right around 8 a.m., break below that cluster of levels, 270, 275, 280. Turn break just before 11 a.m. Now, in the case of NASDAQ, you can see cumulative volume delta starting to rise, aggressive buyers coming in. Also, large traders were fading this move with iceberg orders. That's shown by the light blue line, and that started early. So aggressive buyers, large traders with iceberg orders, they used to hide their size. And then finally, around 11 a.m., options traders joined the party, and NASDAQ began to move higher. All right, let's take a look at some stocks, then we'll get to the live market. And actually, I'm going to go to the IWM first. So let's take a look. This is the IWM, Russell 2000 ETF. And let's go to Hero. And what I'm looking for is mostly this reversal or recovery, signals in Hero for this reversal or recovery, anywhere from 10 to 11, something like that. IWM, let's shift to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump. Sorry about that. Recently introduced bug. So you can see in the MAG 7, the call buyers are really driving price. Let's go to IWM. Go back to full screen. So when you separate out puts and calls, this becomes a lot more clear what what options traders are doing and what's driving price. So call buyers came into IWM just after 10 a.m., right around 10 a.m. Price began to move higher and really continues as traders continue to buy calls in IWM. So called buyers coming in right around 10 a.m. and initiating this recovery higher, this reversal higher for IWM. Back to Bookmap. Traders continue to buy calls. IWM continues to move higher. All right, next stock, QQQ. A little bit easier to look at than the NASDAQ chart, the NQ chart. You can see all the aggressive buyers in QQQ, cumulative volume delta, just after the negative opening print, Cumulative volume delta continues to rise. Let's go take a look at Hero for QQQ. Whoops. QQQ. In the case of QQQ, calls and puts. So traders right around 10:30 started buying calls, selling puts. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction. In this case, they're moving up, positive delta. That's a very strong directional signal, continuation pattern there. When the blue line and the orange line moving the same direction, and NASDAQ reversed higher. So net for the day, both these numbers are positive, positive delta. Traders buying calls and selling puts. Market makers take the opposite side of the trades, and they have to buy QQQ stock or most likely NQ futures. Much more efficient. Let's take a look at. I'll get back to this in a minute. Let's move on to Apple now. And notice in Apple, let's zoom in a little bit. This reversal higher took a while to play out. Started about 11:15. Maybe around 11, traders started selling puts. 11:15, they started buying calls, and price responded higher when traders began buying calls. So continuation pattern, then consolidation. That began right around 11:15. So chop in the morning, 11:15, orange line, blue line moving the same direction up until about 12:30, then consolidation. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Apple. Warning chop. 11:15. Sellers are exhausted. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Cumulative volume delta starts to rise as traders buy calls and sell puts. Not a lot of range of movement. That's pretty typical for Apple. Now consolidation as the call buyers and put sellers have taken their foot off the gas. So range compression, contraction, expansion, then contraction again. All right, next stock, Microsoft. Nice short setup in the morning, then long setup in the afternoon. Note the time where Microsoft began to rise, 10 a.m., leading the indexes higher. I've noticed that about Microsoft before. Microsoft can tend to lead, and it definitely did today, starting to move higher right around 10 a.m. Let's zoom in and let's take a closer look at Microsoft. All right, starting with this downtrend, the move lower in the morning. Notice these peaks, how they line up with the market pulse price change indicator in the subchart, showing the extremes, and I use these to confirm entry points for a trend, in this case for shorts. So if you miss and here's the initial move lower, pull back up to 426, short confirmed by the market pulse price change indicator. And there were a couple of other short entries along this trend line, again confirmed by the market pulse price change indicator. Price reverses higher right around 10 a.m. Then pullback entries confirmed by the low extremes on the market pulse price change indicator. And these market pulse price change extremes can often lead by a few seconds, maybe a minute, something like that, giving you time to prepare for an entry. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go to Microsoft. Right, notice this right at the open. Flow alert comes in, get your attention, signals significant option activity. Traders buy calls, sell calls, buy puts. Then 10 a.m., they take the foot off the gas. So continuation pattern down, then consolidation, and the aggressive buyers take over. Again, Microsoft leading the indexes higher. Let's go back to Bookmap. So for the move down, options traders taking negative delta positions, selling calls, buying puts. Then the aggressive buyers start to come in. So in the move down this morning, options traders were in charge. They were driving price. Then in this move higher, stock buyers are driving price, shown by the rising cumulative volume delta. So we know that the options traders have taken the foot off the gas and aggressive buyers are starting to come in, and that is what has been driving price higher since around 10 a.m. So with that, we have an understanding of what has been driving price for Microsoft today. Again, also noting that Microsoft did and can lead the indexes as it did today. Another stock leading the indexes today is NVIDIA. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Oops. And NVIDIA bullish from the open. Let's see what options traders are doing. And they were buying calls from the open, or just a couple of minutes after the open, traders buying calls. NVIDIA moves higher. First peak pattern. Traders sell calls. Note also they were selling puts. And then puts really, put sellers took the foot off the gas. Out of the picture. NVIDIA consolidates again a bit as the call buyers took the foot off the gas. They start buying calls again. Price moves up to the 140 call wall key gamma strike. And now price is consolidating. A couple of call peak patterns, topping patterns, and essentially the call buyers have taken the foot off the gas. So now the orange line and the blue line are flat, and NVIDIA is consolidating. Looks like just below the 140 call wall key gamma strike. So very nice setups. Short and long for Microsoft and long for NVIDIA, following options traders and aggressive buyers and sellers. And you can see cumulative volume delta rising. Clear price target at 140. That's the heat map and book map showing a history of the limit orders in the order book. And those Those are limit sell orders in the order book, tend to attract price. They were finally consumed. Now it looks like some limit sell orders at the 140 call wall key gamma strike have come back in again. Very typical for stock. Most of these limit sell orders come in at the cash open. With the most dominant sellers at 140. So a very nice bullish setup in NVIDIA. Let's take a look at Tesla. If anybody has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know. I'll be glad to do that. All right, pretty choppy day here in Tesla. Let's see what options traders have been doing. Go to Tesla. All right, so Tesla's been up and down today. Zoom in a bit. So starting around 940, traders started selling calls. 945 buying puts. NVIDIA moved lower. Tesla, I'm sorry, moved lower. Almost down to the 415 hedge wall. Then they started buying calls, selling puts. Price moved higher. Now mostly consolidating. Let's go back to Bookmap. So move lower. Cumulative volume delta, a lot of aggressive sellers. Unlike Microsoft, for example, there were a lot of aggressive buyers, and Tesla, mostly aggressive sellers. Cumulative volume delta, definitely negative for the day. All right, so Razi wants to take a look at Boeing. All right, so I don't have Boeing in Bookmap. We can take a look at Hero. Of course, Boeing in the news with the crash over the weekend. So it looks like traders have been taking advantage of the dip. Put sellers, shown by the rising blue line. Call buyers joined the party right around 10:45. So now traders continue to buy calls and sell puts in Boeing. All right, so there you go, Razi. Oh boy asks, SPX most likely closed today. All right, so let's go back to S&P 500. Let's go to trace. And let's shift over to charm pressure. Let's take a look at delta pressure first. So this is showing mostly red. Go to charm pressure. All right, so what we're looking for is a positive gamma node. And typically you want to look for, let me change the color of my pointer. Look for an area like this with blue buying support below, red selling pressure above. And I think it would certainly be a stretch for SPX to go up to that level, which is 59.80, since right now it's trading at 59.26. And one other potential pin Oops, that's not it. Right here. Right back down to the Spotgamma applied one-day move low. Down near the low of the day. All right, so there you go. Oh boy, not a lot of clarity on that today. Let's go take a look at, let's go back to Hero. Go back to S&P 500. S&P equities. Still just showing topping here. Consolidation just below the Spotgamma applied one-day move low. High, I'm sorry. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go back to ES. All right, so ES starting to move lower. And let's go back to Hero. I'm going to shift to the total signal. Hopefully we don't get the screen of death. All right, so again, to me, the index signal a little bit more clear. Peak patterns, making lower highs. Resistance at the one-day implied move high. That's that line right there. And now S&P 500 moving lower. Let's check NASDAQ. Go back to Bookmap. Also starting to roll lower. Back to that cluster of levels. Let's check QQQ. QQQ has definitely broken its uptrend. Range expansion. Consolidation. Now maybe moving lower again. Back to Hero. So the index signal is moving lower, and the equity signal has started to, is pretty much flatline. Maybe breaking lower. Back to the index signal. There's also cumulative volume delta starting to move lower. So maybe now the 590 put wall that has acted as support, maybe that'll act as resistance. Zoom in a little bit more. All right, so based on everything that I see here, I would be looking for a short. All right, WRB asks, how do you position today? JP Morgan caller for Tuesday before close today. What kind of read for Thursday? All right, so the JP Morgan caller, that open interest will expire tomorrow afternoon. Well, it looks like now it's breaking above that trend line. So the gamma is greatest at the money at expiration, and if price, so the price has to be close to that at expiration for that gamma to be most prevalent. So if price stays down here over 125 points below that level, then that right now the JP Morgan collar is not significant. Let's go back to trace. I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit more. So there's that 60,055 level. Let's hover over this. So right now, gamma exposure is 17.4 million. 60 minutes ago, it was 23 million. All right, so now it looks like price is trying to come back up again. So that as price is now moving lower, that gamma has been starting to drop. Let's just go back in time. We'll go back to 940. We're watching this strike up here, 6,050, 55. Price begins to move up. Open interest is going to remain around the same, but gamma should start to increase slightly. So that blue bar is becoming a little bit more prevalent. As prices approach that level. All right, so WRB also asked about what kind of read for Thursday, implied move. That I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what the levels look like on Thursday morning. So all I know for sure is that 6,055 level will cease, that open interest will cease to exist on Thursday, or actually after expiration on Tuesday. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so Bookmap is showing that ES did break that downtrend line now. So the best shorts were here and here. If you're taking those scalps for the move lower. Let me turn on the market pulse price change indicator again. So it looks like this may be another short opportunity here. Go back to market pulse price change. It'll take a minute or so for that to load. While that's loading, let's go back to Hero, go back to the index signal, zoom in on this a bit. Still making lower highs. Back to ES. All right, so market pulse price change still loading. All right, I'm going to have to wrap it up. My time is up. Oh boy says for now SPX max volume puts at 5,900, calls at 5,950. And max volume, or do you mean volume or open interest? And where are you seeing that? All right, so now SPX, ES continues to move higher after breaking that downtrend line. All right, oh boy. All right, FuteMac wants to take a look at AMD, then I'm going to have to wrap it up here. Let's go to AMD. Not much going on with AMD. We'll take a quick look at Hero. AMD. And traders are taking negative delta options positions in AMD all day. There are aggressive buyers. And oh boy, if you would join Discord, post your question in Discord. You can post a screenshot of what you're taking a look at, and I'll be glad to answer that. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap it up. My time is up. Remember, Wednesday holiday, and I will see you next Monday. Everyone have a great New Year's Day, great holiday. And I will see you again on next Monday. Thanks. Bye.